Panda's grin grew increasingly maniacal as the thunder spear behind him radiated a deadly light. Just one lightning spear was enough to make the god of nature shudder. How could he possibly dodge so many of them? So he stopped running, standing firm. He opened his mouth and conjured a wind shield. A high-speed air barrier materialized right before him. The god's resistance irritated Panda. The panda lunged forward, causing the lightning spears to follow the direction of his outstretched hand. "Go!" he shouted. In an instant, the sharp spears shot forth, piercing through the wind shield as easily as stabbing through paper. They didn't strike the god of nature directly, but they carved deep gashes along his sides. He howled in agony as blood sprayed from his throat in a long arc. It hurt so much. If he had just dodged earlier, wouldn't that have been better? But now it was too late. He swung his long tentacles, sharpening their tips before hurling them at Panda with tremendous force. Panda, still charging forward right behind his lightning spears, was the target. The god hoped to seize this opportunity for revenge. But the panda had not only anticipated this attack, he didn't even take it seriously. With a powerful thrust of his hands, Panda directly countered the tentacle strike, creating a thunderous clash that sent sparks flying, though suspended. In midair, he didn't waver or retreat even an inch. This alone proved his overwhelming strength compared to the celestial deity. Flexing his muscles to show off, he snorted and grinned condescendingly. As if an adult were standing before a child, the god of nature roared, "Don't underestimate me!" His mind worked rapidly. Seeking a counterattack, he decided to use what was already available. His own saliva from earlier. Raising his head high, the liquid shot up, forming a net-like structure that enveloped Panda. The liquid quickly solidified into a giant water sphere, trapping Panda inside and freezing at an extreme speed, turning into an ice prison akin to a crystal orb. This was the god's frozen great deluge technique. A finishing move meant to seal an opponent completely, leaving no chance of escape. Ha! The god of nature looked at the murky ice and laughed triumphantly. "This world belongs only to the gods. Only gods have the right to rule," he declared. Seeing no movement inside the frozen sphere, he was convinced the beast was dead. He let out a victorious roar. "You die!" A colossal lightning bolt suddenly crashed down from the heavens, so fast and powerful it seemed like a pillar of water slamming into the frozen sphere. But in reality, it was an ultra-high-voltage thunderstrike, meant to completely annihilate whatever remained inside. Amid the flashes of white and blue light, a small dark silhouette could be faintly seen. The god of nature poured all his strength into the attack. Determined to turn the panda into nothing but ashes, the sheer destructive force split the once flat land into 4 equal sections. At the center, a massive symbol was burned into the ground by the lightning strike, resembling a gigantic rune carved into a cake. This level of devastation drained a significant amount of divine energy from the god. He gasped for breath, ignoring the coagulated blood on his body. His only concern was whether his enemy had perished. Surely, he must be dead. Perhaps even burned to dust? Just as he was entertaining the thought, an unsettling sensation caused him to clench his teeth. His pupils dilated in shock. "Surprised, motherfucker?" Panda emerged against the light. Soaring up from the shattered ground, he was completely unscathed. Fiery flames enveloped his body like a brand new, limited edition battle outfit. His eyes and grin exuded absolute confidence, as if the god's attack had been nothing more than a joke. "I was just playing along with you for a bit, and you actually took it seriously?" The god of nature had indeed taken it seriously. Seeing Panda again, his rage skyrocketed to the peak. How? How could this be possible? It shouldn't be possible. "Natural growth!" he bellowed. Vines from the earth instantly expanded to colossal sizes, wrapping tightly around Panda. The binding was so rapid that a loud squelch echoed through the air. The god was desperate now. This time, he transformed the tips of the vines into sharp needles, stabbing into Panda's body to drain his life force. Vital energy streamed out through the wounds, rising like burning flames. Panda quickly assessed the amount of energy lost but didn't retaliate just yet. The speed at which his energy was being drained was even faster than before, proof that this god still had plenty of power left. He hadn't been exhausted by the previous attacks. he was still capable of more. The ground beneath them suddenly erupted. The god of nature had used an earthquake spell, causing massive earth pillars to rise with uncanny intelligence, aiming to crush Panda in the center. The sheer weight of the stone was meant to smother the panda completely. From afar, Panda appeared as nothing more than a tiny speck amid the towering columns. He was being pressed from above and below, while two additional pillars closed in from the sides. Yet, despite enduring pressure from all directions, Panda remained unfazed. His small arms pushed against the crushing weight, and instead of straining, he simply smiled. If it weren't for the faint umph noises coming from his mouth, one might have thought he was having the time of his life playing a game. The god of nature had no idea how comfortable Panda actually felt. Perhaps he was nearsighted, unable to see the truth. Using both natural growth and an earthquake technique, the god trembled from exhaustion, yet he still had the audacity to laugh victoriously. "Die, monster! Die, die, die!" he shrieked. His words were so ridiculous that Panda couldn't resist speaking up. "You think that's enough to defeat me?" Bored of toying with the god, Panda unleashed a colossal lightning flame sun sphere. His signature technique, now enhanced with the lightning element, the sheer explosive power was monstrous. The moment it touched the ground, the earthquake spell shattered, sending stone pillars flying in all directions. The massive rocks meant to crush Panda were instantly corroded, each side disintegrating over a 40-meter radius. "I am the strongest beast! How could I possibly die by your hands?" With those words, Panda shot forward from his position, carrying the scorching sun sphere at an astonishing speed, turning into a streak of light barreling toward his opponent. The god of nature had thrown everything he had at Panda, yet failed to inflict even a single wound. Frustrated and impatient, he roared despite the blood spewing from his mouth. "Come at me! If you're so powerful, then come fight me to the death!" "The world doesn't need you," Panda declared. With that, the blazing fireball shot directly toward the god's face. Even before the collision, the surrounding ground shattered and scattered, unable to withstand the force. Just as impact was imminent, the god of nature felt a sudden chill run through his entire body. From the moment their attacks clashed earlier, he had sensed that he was at a disadvantage, but his stubborn nature refused to let him flee or beg for mercy. And now, in the last moment before impact, regret set in. His body hesitated for just a fraction of a second, and in that moment, the flame sun orb struck him head-on. Agonizing pain coursed through his entire being. Was this fear? The god of nature felt as if every blood vessel in his body had burst, every muscle fiber snapping apart with audible, sickening sounds. His massive body disintegrated, shattering like a fragile porcelain vase, large and small fragments scattered in every direction. I am a god. I don't want to die." For the first time, the god of nature felt the desperate urge to run away, but there was no path left to escape. His body continued to dissolve, his voice growing more strangled. Even the three words, "I don't want to die," remained incomplete as his existence was utterly erased. Panda, propelled by the flame sun orb, was sent soaring into the sky before plummeting straight down. At first, it seemed like another attack, but in reality, Panda was just too exhausted and let himself free fall. As the smoke and flames dispersed, he lay there, completely still, body sunken into the ground, unwilling to even try getting up, panting heavily. He exhaled. One miscalculation, and I'd be dead. Fortunately, his calculations had been right, but using that technique had completely drained him. Even spitting out a mouthful of blood didn't help with the exhaustion. If he wasn't so tired, he would have shouted, "I won," but he was too damn worn out to celebrate. What now? Sleep, just for a little bit. No need for permission. The little panda closed his eyes. He barely lasted 3 seconds before slipping into a deep slumber. Soft snores echoed through the battlefield. They were just like the peaceful days of laziness in the misty mountains. But while Panda rested, White Tiger was still locked in a battle of his own. His fight had only just begun, and already, he had gained no advantage whatsoever. Even with Xiaolam by his side, the girl clung tightly to the fur around his neck, shouting instructions. "Attack the lower left!" she commanded, White Tiger roared and unleashed a powerful energy blast in that direction. A massive explosion erupted, but the dust cloud made it impossible to tell if the attack had landed. Not that it mattered. Xiao Lam's spiritual perception could sense everything, yet what she discovered shocked her. White Tiger's attack had struck something unnatural, a strange, mechanical contraption. No, not just a machine. Their enemy had finally revealed his true form. The so-called god they were fighting was, in reality, a being made entirely of machinery, and with that revelation, he made a grand proclamation. I am ranked fourth in the world among the gods. I am the god of knowledge. Then, with a dramatic motion, he ripped off his own cloak. Beneath it, his true body was fully revealed. His metallic limbs gleamed in the light. His name was Yuan Bo, his body, an unnatural fusion of insect and dolphin, standing upright like a humanoid. His metallic skin shimmered in eerie blue. It was an appearance that completely contradicted both his name and aura. But Xiao Lam didn't care. His name meant nothing. What mattered was that his power surged the moment he revealed himself. White Tiger, blast him away! Xiao Lam commanded. White Tiger obeyed. Another energy pillar shot forward, identical to the first, but this time, Yuan Bo countered with a blast of his own. He smirked. Child's play. And he proved it. His energy tore through White Tiger's attack like a drill-piercing paper, and continued streaking toward them. Burning a brilliant, blinding White Tiger, a battle-hardened warrior, was still caught off guard. He could see the light barreling toward his face, yet froze in shock. The energy wave struck him directly, and instead of stopping, it spread outward, illuminating the battlefield. For the first time, it became clear. Beneath the shining light, the black pillar Yuan Bo stood on was fully visible. The wind howled. Dark wings flapped in the air. Smoke was blown away from the battlefield. White Tiger shook himself free and charged forward. He abandoned all strategy. This was a pure, physical assault, the kind only the reckless dared to use. With a thunderous crack, White Tiger's skull slammed into Yuan Bo. Yuan Bo reeled back in shock. This beast dared to attack him physically? Ha ha! Fascinating! Yuan Bo laughed. Your body is far stronger than I expected, but no matter how powerful your flesh is, it will never surpass artificial perfection, Heavenly Eye. White Tiger had deliberately headbutted him to activate Heavenly Eye, a technique aimed directly at Yuan Bo's head, but Yuan Bo was completely unfazed. He dodged it effortlessly, as if swatting away a fly, and he even had the arrogance to explain himself. This is why I modified my body. Before White Tiger could react, sharp claws extended from Yuan Bo's fingers. In an instant, slash! His metallic talons dug deep into White Tiger's front leg. A sickening squelch filled the air. White Tiger's eyes widened in pain. At the same time, his mouth spat out a large glob of blood, crimson red.